गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So Canto 2, the Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 6, Purusha Shukta confirmed, and text number 1. Brahmo vacha vacham vanirmukham kshetram chandasam saptadhatavah avya kavyamritananam jiva sarvarasasya cha. Brahmo vacha vacham vanirmukham kshetram chandasam saptadhatavah avya kavyamritananam jiva sarvarasasya cha. Brahmo vacha vacham vahanirmukham kshetram chandasam saptadhatavah havyakavyamritananam jihva sarvarasasya cha. Synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Brahma vacha, Lord Brahma said, Vacham of the voice, Vahane of fire, Mukham the mouth, Kshetram the generating center, Chandasam of the Vedic hymns such as Gayatri, Sapta 7, Dhatavaha, skin and 6 other layers, Kavya, offerings for the demigods and the forefathers, Amrita, food for human beings, Annanam, of all sorts of foodstuffs, Jiva, the tongue, Sarva, all, Rasasya, of all delicacies, Cha, also. Translation. Lord Brahma said, the mouth of the Virat Purush, the universal form of the Lord, is the generating center of the voice. And the controlling deity is fire. His skin and 6 other layers are the generating centers of the Vedic hymns. And his tongue is the productive center of different foodstuffs and delicacies for offering to the demigods, the forefathers, and the general mass of people. Purport. The opulences of the universal form of the Lord are described herein. It is said that his mouth is the generating center of all kinds of voices, and its controlling deity is the fire demigod. And his skin and other 6 layers of bodily construction are the representative generating centers of the 7 kinds of Vedic hymns, like the Gayatri. Gayatri is the beginning of all Vedic mantras, and it is explained in the first volume of Srīmad Bhāgavatam. First volume of Srīmad Bhāgavatam. Since the generating centers are the different parts of the universal form of the Lord, and since the form of the Lord is transcendental to the material creation, it is to be understood that the voice, the tongue, the skin, etc., suggest that the Lord in his transcendental form is not without them. The material voice, or the energy of taking in foodstuff, is generated originally from the Lord. Such actions are but perverted reflections of the original reservoirs. The transcendental situation is not without spiritual variegatedness. In the spiritual world, all the perverted forms of material variegatedness are fully represented in their original spiritual identity. The only difference is that material activities are contaminated by the 3 modes of material nature, whereas the potencies in the spiritual world are all pure because they are engaged in the unalloyed transcendental service of the Lord. In the spiritual world, the Lord is the sublime enjoyer of everything. And the living entities there are all engaged in his transcendental loving service without any contamination of the modes of material nature. The activities in the spiritual world are without any of the difficulties of the material world. But there's no question of impersonal voidness on the spiritual platform as suggested by the impersonalists. Devotional service is defined in the Narada Pancharatra as follows. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchate. This is again coming from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also. I think it's 1:112. Um, Originally, all the senses are produced of the Lord's reservoir of senses. The sensual activities of the material world are to be purified by the process of devotional service, and thus the perfection of life can be attained simply by purifying the present position of our material activities. And the purifying process begins from the stage of being liberated from the conception of different designations. Every living entity is engaged in some sort of service, either for the self or for the family or for the society, country, etc. But unfortunately, all such services are rendered due to material attachment. Very important. Every living entity is engaged in some sort of service, of course, including us, either for the self or for the family or for the society, country, etc. But unfortunately, all such services are rendered due to material attachment. The attachment to the material affinity may be simply changed to the service of the Lord, and thus the treatment of being freed from material attachment begins automatically. The process of liberation is therefore easier through devotional service than by any other methods. For in the Bhagavad Gita 12.5, it is said that one is subjected to various kinds of tribulations if one is impersonally attached. Klesho adhikataras tesham avyaktasta sakta chetasam. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Bhaktivedanta purports ki jai. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. So this is our Krishna. Prabhupada used to say our Krishna, and we say our Prabhupada. Many times I think when we have to prepare for this class or when to give this class, are we really happy? I'm thinking in my life, I'm really happy. Then I'm thinking, actually, yes. Just before, I, at 6:30, just before 6:30, I start my puja. And when we wake up the Lord, we've been trained that when you wake up the Lord, you should have the feeling that it's a festival today. It's a festival today. So every day is a festival. Every day we wake up the Lord, and then we open the curtains, and the beautiful Shri Radha Kunj Bihari, they're smiling at us. And then in our heart also, there's a lot of happiness, because it's a festival today. We can see the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord. It's just like simple joys of life. And these are not simple joys, these are actually deeper joys of life. Last night, I went for Sunday feast, and after a wonderful class by Viraj Prabhu, we had a nice kirtan, and Vishwambar Prabhu had cooked such a nice prasadam with Bengali taste, very beautiful spices. Before that, we went for Harinam on Saturday night at the Valley. And it's just amazing how our life as devotees, no one has to tell us that we are happy. It's actually just a beautiful life. And then when we come to discuss this technical topic of creation, now please understand, my dear devotees, that this is the same Krishna we're talking about, who is described here as someone whose mouth of the Virat Purush is the generating center of the voice, and his skin and 6 other layers are the generating centers of the Vedic hymns. His tongue is a productive center of different foodstuffs, etc., etc. So then when you understand that the 6th canto starts with the first 3 topics of Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, and then it continues with the description of creation, Narad Muni, not from a material perspective, from a spiritual perspective, is asking Brahmaji, his father and his guru, the questions about Atma Tattva, as to, okay, you are creating, what's the process of creation, how it is maintained, how it's annihilated. So this process is there, and Narad Muni, of course, clarifies in the first verse of 5th chapter that I'm asking you these questions because of Atma Tattva, because of my own spiritual, desires. Prabhupada also mentions that it is Brahma who is creating what is already created by the Lord. And this topic of creation will come 3 times more in the third canto. But we'll see from different philosophical points, different angles, the different points are emphasized. And we will understand these constantly by hearing. By hearing, when we constantly hear, we imbibe this whole process of creation, the maintenance. Now, why maintenance is important for us? Because everything around us we see, how can we connect it to Krishna? So we have to imbibe this process of connecting everything to Krishna very, very deeply in our consciousness. Now, this chapter you can see is called Purusha Shukta Confirmed. Purusha Shukta. Of course, this is not the Shukta which Bengalis, Bengalis, there's a sabji called Shukta, which is also a very beautiful sabji. It's actually a very bitter sabji made with vegetables, neem and karela. It's quite bitter, but it's very, very tasteful, very tasty. But here, Purusha Shukta, Purusha, as we know, the 3 Purushas, Karanadakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. So these are the 3 Purusha incarnations of the Lord which are concerned with creation and maintenance. And in this chapter, Brahmaji is confirming what's already praised in Rig Veda. There are beautiful prayers in Rig Veda glorifying Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Now, Garbhodakshay Vishnu is very interesting. You can understand. Krishna, of course, is interesting. He's our Krishna. He has to be interesting. When we have this feeling like that, actually, Krishna, I'm yours. You are mine, and I'm yours. It's just the process of devotional service which takes us to this feeling. So Purusha Shukta this is a chapter coming immediately after cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karanam. And then suddenly we'll think, why is the topic changed? No, the topic is not changed. The dialogue is continuing between Brahmaji and Narad Muni. Sukta is divided into 2 words, Su and Ukta. Su, of course, as we know, is always auspicious, always meaning well. Surida. Krishna is described as Surida in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the last, the peace formula verse. So Surida, Sukta, Su-Ukta. So Ukta means to speak, and Su means auspicious or something denoting wellness. So when the Rig Veda is glorifying Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Brahmaji is almost in a very similar manner confirming the prayers of Rig Veda, the hymns of Rig Veda, the prayers of Rig Veda. And we can see now in this verse, Brahmaji is speaking about Garbhodakshay Vishnu's the mouth, and Prabhupada is giving wonderful purport. Brahmaji is speaking about the skin and the 6 other layers. So 6 other layers, what we can see, they are the skin and muscle. So it's a total 7 layers, the skin and muscle. There's blood there, there's flesh, there's fat and chyle, there's bone and marrow, there's semen and lymph, and there's hair. So you can understand, actually, when I was reading this for the first time, when I started studying Bhagavatam many, many years ago, and when I read this, and when I came to this verse, and when I understood, from the different commentaries and different guidebooks of different acharyas, I actually realized this is so scientific that, even in those days, the layers of the body are analyzed. And even now, after, zillions of years, zillions of centuries, zillions of lifetimes, the same principles applying, that our body, or, for here, of course, is describing the Lord's body, but we can also see that in our body, these 7 layers are there. So Prabhupada, of course, this verse, actually, I was thinking when I was reading this purport, that this purport, we can take it as an exam purport, a project purport, where we can, for every sentence which Prabhupada says here, we can analyze it according to our understanding, according to our consciousness. That, yes, how can I understand? We know that for living entities, For our limbs, for our organs, there are controlling deities. But then even for the Lord, is there a controlling deity, which is fire demigod, for the mouth? So we have to understand, and we have to go through the references and find out. Prabhupada then goes on to say, since the generating center are the different parts of the universal form of the Lord, and since the form of the Lord is transcendental to the material creation, it is to be understood that the voice, tongue, skin suggest that the Lord in his transcendental form is not without them. So the Lord has got a voice, the Lord has got the tongue, the Lord has got the skin, and all the organs, the limbs are there. You might have heard the story of His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj. When he was traveling, once he was traveling through one of the Middle Eastern countries, and I don't know the details, whether he was in his sannyas robe or whatever it is. Normally, when the devotees travel through Middle East, if they have to pass through the customs and immigration, they generally like to, wear casual clothes, but I don't know the details. But Maharaj was chanting, and he was chanting, and he was going through the customs, and one of the local customs officer, he would be probably, one of the broad-minded ones, and so he was asking Maharaj, I want to understand, your faith. And then he said, what you are doing? Maharaj said, I am calling out to the Lord, like how you have your azan, I'm calling out to the Lord. And then that the customs officer asked, when you say calling out means, does he hear? He says, yeah, he is a person, he reciprocates with us, and he has got, ears, he's got eyes, he's got, hands, he's got legs. He walks towards us, he embraces us like that. Now, Muslims, as you know, they are, Allah is impersonal. There's no form. They just worship the impersonal form of Allah. So then he was not very convinced. And then Radha Govind Maharaj said, okay, let me ask you one question. When you do your prayers, when you call your azan, does Allah hear? Just, of course, he hears our prayers, and that's why we pray. Because Maharaj said that if he is hearing, that means he has ears. And then Maharaj asked him, so when you are in difficulty, you call out to him, and then does he reply to you? He says, yes. If you call out to him sincerely, he replies. And then Maharaj asked him, so when you call out to him very sincerely, does he come to you? He says, yes, he comes to us, immediately. So that man was, very faithful, but also he was broad-minded. So then Maharaj, told him that if Allah can hear your prayers, if he can, speak to you, if he can run towards you when you're in difficulty, you have to understand that he has ears, he has mouth, and he has legs and hands. And that's why he can help you in times of difficulties. And that's why he hears your prayers. That man was very much convinced by this explanation. And then he told Maharaj, interestingly, he says, okay, you just wait here. He swapped his shift, for a couple of minutes with someone else, went out, got a very nice watch as a gift from the, whatever, duty-free shopping or whatever it is. And then he gave it to Maharaj for completing his understanding that, yes, the Lord, whether it's Allah or Jesus or Krishna or Jehovah, he is not formless, And that's why Prabhupada time and time again is speaking about the personal form of the Lord. So then when we understand that, yes, Krishna in the form of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is glorified here. In this chapter, we'll see that this entire chapter is almost dedicated to the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, the prayers uttered by Brahma. And these are the prayers, of course. Brahma also speaks at the time of creation. And then we can see in this chapter that these prayers explain how things, all in the past, present, and future, come from Krishna, rest in Krishna, and then go back to Krishna. Of course, here in the form of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, in the Purusha avatar. And when we understand that this Purusha avatar, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the Achintya Bhed Abheda Tattva, He's simultaneously in the material. Garbha Dokshay Vishnu. Garbha. Garbha means he is actually entering the garbh of the each and every universe. Right? He's entering into garbh of each and every universe, and he maintains the universe by being present in the garbha. Garbha means the embryo of the universe. So he is simultaneously one. So he's immanent in the manifested world, but at the same time away. Is beyond, is transcendental to this material world, to this creation. So this is beautifully described by Brahmaji in these prayers. And then Brahmaji explains the significance of the Lord's mouth, the nostrils, the eyes, the skin, the nails, the hairs, in all different parts of the body. And then he also mentions that how, whatever our qualifications are, whatever greatness we have, whatever scholarly, devotee we might be, but no living being can understand Krishna completely in totality. Even Krishna cannot understand himself totality. So then we understand Krishna's greatness, and automatically we feel very much awed, and we have to surrender to him. So this is the beginning of the Purusha Sukta prayers, where Garbhodaksha Vishnu is, because he's a part of the creation, he's making creation happens, and Brahmaji is describing him. For us, it's very instructional. The instruction is there that our purpose of hearing, this and all the verses of prayers of Brahmaji, and then all the verses about creation by the Lord, uh, is to understand that yes, how can I connect with the situation around me? The whole Virata Rupa, we've seen in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In the second canto, again in the third canto, we'll see the creation is happening. The Virat Rupa is explained. So how we can see Krishna in everything around us. So as devotees, we have the Virat Rupa, understanding of this thing. And then we also have Archar Vigraha. The Krishna comes in the deity form. He comes in the book form. He comes in the form of the holy name. He comes in the form of the devotees. So when we are conscious of surroundings around us, it's easier for us to become Krishna conscious. And when we constantly hear this again and again and again, Prabhupada, in this purport, two main points he gives. The first is that the material world is the perverted variation of the original spiritual world. Yeah, material world is the perverted um, form of the original spiritual world. The first paragraph goes on to speak about that the spiritual world, there's no modes of material nature, not contaminated. And in the material world, we are contaminated by the three modes of material nature. And then when we start performing devotional service, then the modes of material nature, the shackles slowly get loosened up, and then we become free. And when we become free, then Prabhupada uses this the verse here from Narad Pancharatra and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. So we become free from all the upadis, all the designations when we start performing devotional service. And Prabhupada again in the second paragraph, he speaks about the devotional service to the Supreme Lord. And then he distinguishes between devotional service to the Supreme Lord and all the isms, all the schisms of the self, the family, the society, country, and all that. That yes, these attachments can be simply changed to the service of the Lord. And again, in the third canto, Kapil Dev speaks about the same thing. That if our attachment to the Satam Prasanga Mam Vidi Samvido, no, that's not the verse. No, that's not the verse. How does the verse go? Where Kapil Dev says that only for attachment to the material world is transferred to the attachment of pure devotees to the Lord, then the progress in the bhakti happens. It's not coming to me. If someone can prompt me, please, if someone remember this verse. So Prabhupada, in the first verse, first paragraph here in this purport, speaks about our existence in the perverted reflection of the spiritual world, and we are contaminated here by the three modes of material nature. And in the second paragraph, he speaks about the process of devotional service. So, I always quote my Guru Maharaj. He says, whenever there's a call for devotional service, always say yes. Whenever there's a call for sense enjoyment, always say no. Now, I was reflecting on this, and from my little realization, I can say that when there is a call for service, sometimes there might not be call. Sometimes there might not be a direct call to us, but we should be conscious of what services are required, and then we should be ready to take up that service. Of course, in the overall scheme of things, when we have an overall scheme, um, we know what's to be prioritized and what's not to be prioritized. But if there's a call for service, even if the call is not directed towards us, the difference is, if we do not do that service, it is not that we are going to go down or going to go backwards in our spiritual life. No, no, we have got other services to do. But if we go out of our way to do that service, then our spiritual life definitely improves. Like, many devotees came for the Harinam on Saturday night. It's a late night. It's not easy because, the whole Saturday we've been at the temple, done services, and it's late night, and then Sunday again, the service is to be done. But if we go out of our way to do this service, to bring the holy name to the lowest of the low, that's the place where we go to do Harinam. And devotees vouched, young Guhunesh, when I asked him, did he like the Harinam? He said, Prabhu, Harinam is the best. And when he saw the different devotees were serving different ways, some were distributing books, some were giving Krishna consciousness to others, some were distributing cards, some were chanting. When he saw the different devotees are doing different services, he said he could not stop playing mridanga. And he was playing, like he was ramming the mridanga, so loudly, and it was actually drowning out the other loudspeakers which were going on in the Portage Valley. It was a beautiful experience, and it'd be nice if next time people who have got skills in singing, in distributing books, in whatever we have, we can come and join together and serve Srila Prabhupada through our Sankirtan army. Prabhupada, in his journey of self-discovery, Prabhupada says that when we speak about the material situation around us and the spiritual situation, ultimately Prabhupada says nothing is material. Thinking something is material is simply an illusion. So when we connect Krishna with everything, everything becomes spiritual. And Prabhupada says, actually, there is nothing but spirit. How can there be anything material? Because the Lord is pervading everywhere. So when we have this consciousness through our devotional service, we won't be having this upside down enjoyment of the world. We will understand that this material world is, of course, upside down, but we don't want to be in this reflection. We want to be in the original spiritual realm. We don't want to be experiencing these distorted relationships. We want to be experiencing the real relationship, the real love versus the lust which comes with the miseries in this material world. We don't want to experience this temporary nature, dukhalayam ashashvatam. We want to experience the eternity, which is the nature of the soul. And we don't want to experience the shadow. We want to experience the substantiality of the spiritual world. It's 7 o'clock. As I said, this is a project purport. We could read the purport in each and every sentence. We can make something out. I want to also express my deepest gratitude, my obeisances, and I want to offer a lot of prayers to our dearest Viraj Krishna Prabhu, whose birthday today. He has brought this culture of wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam to us, and we are eternally indebted. So please, today, let him just find a time for only 16 rounds, and rest of you bombard him with phone calls of best wishes and, your prayers, your feelings of love for him. And thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Any questions or comments, dear devotees? Any reflections? Okay. May you have all a wonderful devotional day. Krishna willing, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 6:30 again to continue the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. And as I said, this purport is a very important purport. Every line is very important. Justice could not have been done in this 25-30 minutes. So please go through this again and try to understand the deeper meanings of what Prabhupada says, how we can apply in our lives, and how we can be more insightful in studying this purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the wonderful class.
Happy birthday, Prabhuji.
Happy birthday to you. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna, dear Virat Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Krishna
to you.
My obeisance, Prabhu, again and again and again. All glories to Virat Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your service.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.